When you install the application and open it, it will display a window, a page where you will be asked to enter your email address and the activation key. If you have purchased the perpetual license or the subscription license, you can enter your email ID and then the subscription key or the license key into the application. And then once you activate it, you can simply restart the application so that it will be activated and you're ready to go. If you have purchased a perpetual license, the process will be the same. Let's say you want to test it out, then you can simply click the trial option. So when you click the trial option, it will say activate 7-day trial. Then it will activate the 7-day trial where you can actually test out the application. And then if you are satisfied, you can go ahead and make a purchase. Now, there are a couple of settings you need to configure before you actually test the application. One thing is to go to settings, then click on providers and make sure your providers are ready. Now, if you are using a perpetual license, you will need to add your providers yourself. Providers are AI models, AI providers that you need to include. The API keys for those AI providers need to be purchased by you and then added. So if you have Ollama installed on your local machine, it will detect your Ollama installation. So whichever Ollama AI large language models you have, you can actually connect them here. If you have purchased a perpetual license, it will display the API key options where you can copy and paste your API keys here and then save them. Those will be saved locally, not on the cloud or anywhere else. So your API keys are stored within the software itself, right? And once everything is done, you can go to models. When you go to the model, it will show you an option to install any of these local transcribing models. We call this the local whisper model. So you will need to install one of these local whisper models for any of the modes to work unless you are using a cloud whisper model. In my case, I have selected large version 3 and I have already installed it. If not, you can simply install it. Then, if you have an NVIDIA GPU, you can just select CUDA. If not, you can also use the CPU. There's no problem with that. Now, finally, you can click here and then select the mic that is your default microphone. So in your case, you can simply select, in my case, I'm selecting this mic. But in your case, you can select any of the mics you have access to. So once that's done, we're almost ready to go ahead and test it out. Now, you can go to modes, and here we've added a couple of default modes, and then we've added settings. You can always add additional modes if you need them, and you can always customize this mode based on your preference. Now, the default shortcut key for this application, as you can see here under hotkeys, is Ctrl-Shift-D. So when you press Ctrl-Shift-D, it will open up the default mode. You can always change the default mode from here, or you can select it here as the default mode, and then you can use it as the default mode. For example, if you always use emails, then you can set email as the default mode, right? But let's say we usually use quick. So what quick mode does is simply transcribe whatever audio you record. Now here you can do a couple of customizations. Those are visual customizations. You can change the hotkey, the default hotkey. You can of course change between push to talk or toggle. In my case, I'm using toggle, which is quite a bit easier. Providers, this is the speech to text provider, where you can select the local model, which I explained to you earlier, or you can use the cloud model. Now, in my case, I'm using the cloud model. Then you can adjust a couple of settings. You can do further customizations. And then here, in this case, I'm really happy with that, right? We'll do one more thing. Let's say we go for email. When you click on email, there's not much that's different, except that you can, of course, select a cloud model, which will be faster than the local model, unless you have a faster GPU. But here, especially with these additional models and additional modes, we have the large language model connection, which by default will be enabled for you. But you can always select any provider. So in our case, you can even use Ollama Local, which means whichever AI large language models you have installed on your Ollama installation can be used here. So here, when I select Ollama, you can add the large language model. If you know what its name is, you enter the correct name. So it will use the large language model from your local machine. In that case, your information is quite secure. Set, right? So We are not sending that information to the cloud. But if you use any of these models, of course, these are cloud models. So the data does get sent to the cloud. So I'm using OpenRouter. In OpenRouter, you can actually select any of these OpenRouter models. Now, for now, you can select GPT-4, right? And then one of the most interesting parts is that you can actually customize your system prompt. Right now, this is a simple system prompt that we have provided by default. So it will just simply take this and then rewrite your transcription. So when you are done, you can save it. You can always create your own mode, but we have quick cleanup for email, Slack, code, and meetings. These are all custom modes. You can use them, right? Now that we've kind of customized our custom mode, we could go to settings and then select appearance, and then you can actually customize your appearance. In my case, I can customize multiple appearances. You can use the full and mini layouts, which we are going to look at next, but let's say we'll go with the default one. It's bar and then full. Now I'll go to edit just to show you. We'll just remove this. And then when I select Control Shift D as the default mode, I have to change this to quick. Now, I am recording, a couple of pieces of information. So let's say we are recording this to test this application. So now once we are done, Control Shift D. Now that's what it has pasted, right? So whatever we spoke, it's kind of transcribing. Now you have a couple of additional features, but we can look at them a little bit later. When you select this and then when you say, okay, clean up, what it's going to do is it's going to clean up, right? It's going to clean up whatever you spoke. So these additional features are there in the application, right? So let's do one interesting part. We go to settings and then we go to appearance and then I like to select Night Rider, right? Well, when you go back and then when you start Control Shift D, you get the Night Rider. It is amazing, right? Yeah, it does, and it's quite interesting so that you can just test it out and then you have some more cool features. One of my favorite features is SollSolly, which is the Control Shift D. It opens up and it's like you're talking to a virtual person on the computer and then he's kind of reacting to whatever you're saying, right? So let's say if you don't want to record it, you can simply click escape